is an illusion.
A cascade of pain.
What's up guys, Bridget here. At the start of the league, I was afraid Winter type brand will be weak or bad. But turned out it was still really strong for the endgame content without big investment. The character very tanky, safe and has high damage for a damage over time. This build has no problem with any endgame content. I completed my Atlas, killed most of the endgame bosses without any issues. The mapping is so satisfying and really safe. This build doesn't have any problem with the new monster modifiers or even with monsters with 8 Ascent. For the basic mapping it's really good. On the defensive side, we have so many things. Firstly, we using life and energy shield combination, using Grace Aura for evasion rating, so we almost can die from the monster's basic attacks or project. Because we using Grace, we can use the Ghost Dance Keystone. When we take a hit, we will recover 3% of our evasion rating as energy shield. We can do this 3 times in a row before the stacks recharge. To benefit from this even more, we using energy shield and evasion basis and a crystal belt for extra energy shield. Because in 3.19 GGG removed the maximum life as extra energy shield craft, I added to the build Discipline Aura for the extra energy. The best thing, we don't have to use expensive Enlighten because the build has enough mana reservation efficiency to fit 4 auras in, and we also don't have to worry about the mana. Chill and freeze immune thanks to our Ascendancy. I really like to not rely on the flask uptime with chill and freeze immunity. My favorite is we have stun immunity because the Ascendancy has built-in immunity if you have energy shield, which we will always have. Now we almost can be touched by physical attacks. Only danger left for us is the spell damage, but we have a solution for this. Using spell suppression on gear, which is preventing half of the spell damage when we take spell damage. We also take 10% less damage from the enemies with curse on them, because the curse is one of the main damage multiplier for this build, or enemies will always be cursed. Really high chill effect which will slow down our enemies by 30%. Even the Awakener or any endgame boss will move like a snail, so you can react in time for the upcoming ability. On the offensive side, this is a damage over time build, so you will not insta-kill bosses, but it's really satisfying to see the boss health going down. Because with taking on the tree the extra curse node, we can use free curse to burst our damage, namely Frostbite, Elemental Weakness, and Punishment. If you not use Punishment curse before, this is only start working when the boss below 50% health, and the boss will take increased damage. All of these curses we applying with one single button, and we using Bane for this. Using a secondary source of damage on left click, Vortex, we applying Chill with this, and it's linked with Bone Chill support for even more cold damage increase. My first plan was using Frost Bomb for the cold exposure on hit, but instead of this I'm using a Gloves Implicit for the exposure, so we don't have to press more buttons on boss fights and we don't have to deal with the delayed Frost Bomb. I'm link Cooling Strike support to my Flame Dash so I can execute the bosses from 10% health, which is really good and helping if you fight one of the Uber bosses. For even more damage, we're using a Boots Implicit drop Scorch Ground for a few seconds, which will increase the elemental damage the enemy take. First of all, I would like if you hit the like button like the Shaper hitting the Elder, so it can start spread to more people. Thank you! Few important things you need in the build. Aim on one's damage over time multiplier, cold damage over time multiplier, spell damage, and +1 to all cold spell skill gems. The stats you're looking on your gear, life on every single piece of gear, resistances, and spell suppression. The following implicits you can craft with Eldritch currency. Spam till you get the following. On your gloves you need cold exposure on hit and cold damage over time multiplier. On your body armor, Grace has increased aura effect, or you can use the Marvelous aura effect increase. It's up to you what you want. You want more tankiness or more damage? The other mod is increased aura effect for your non-curse aura. Really good damage and the tankiness. On your boots, you need drop scorch ground while moving. This is the only mandatory to your build. On this piece of gear, the other mod is up to you what you get. Few crafts you need in this build. On your jewelry, you need minimum frenzy charge craft, which is coming from the betray mechanic when unveiling rings and amulets. You can only have 3 frenzy charges, so don't craft more on your gear. You need an open suffix of your rings and amulet. I just want to highlight a few things on the passive tree that you need for the build. 8 passive cluster jewel with deep chill, disorienting display, and prismatic hurt. 2 medium cluster jewel brand loyalty, grand design, and the other cluster jewel is the same, grand design and brand loyalty. Using a small cluster jewel with mana reservation efficiency for our display aura, so we can fit in and we still have enough mana to cast our spells freely. On the jewels, your main stats, you aim for life, cold damage over time multiplier. In the early leveling process, I'm taking these little spell damage notes here. After that, I'm traveling towards the Runebinder, Runesmiths, and the reservation and the life wheel here. After that, the tree is really straightforward. You take life here, a little bit of cold damage here, start taking the reservation wheel here, the spell suppression, Season of Ice for cold damage over time multiplier, a little bit of extra cold damage here, and lastly taking the Grow and Decay and Traverse Forwards down to Entropy. And I start taking the Jewel Sockets here. For the Cluster Jewels, that's it. Otherwise, I always, when I'm leveling, when I'm feeling I'm lacking damage, I start taking damage nodes. If I'm lacking life, I start taking life nodes. That's it, guys. We're taking Occultist as our Ascendancy, because this is the only Ascendancy in the game that synergizes really well with the Wintertide brand. The notables in order are the following. In your first lab you take Void Beacon, really good node early in the leveling process. It will increase our damage, and size 3.18, most of the enemy monsters have high life regen. With this node we will completely nullify their regen. Second lab, we take Frigid Wake. This is what I'm really like in this Ascendancy. You'll be a freeze and chill immune, so we don't have to rely on the flask uptime. Also giving us more cold damage, and we take less damage from the chilled enemies. Third lab, you take Vibration for stun immunity, and you will regen energy shield if you killing enemies up to 10% per second. When you complete Uber lab, take Malediction as your last Ascendancy. This will give us an extra curse, and we will take less damage from the cursed enemies by 10%. I hope you enjoyed this video about Wintertide brand Occultist. If you have any question, please let me know under the comment section. Thanks for watching, guys. I was Puget, and see you next time.